right, everyone. Here it is, Tuesday night. Lala and I are very excited tonight to have Eric Mintel with us. And Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be
Well,
fun.
let me do a little embarrassing of you here. Okay, Eric is a lead investigator. So for more than 30 years, Eric has been an acclaimed jazz musician through his group, the Eric Mintel Quartet. You'll find out how famous in a minute. He has toured and performed all over the country in prestigious places, the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., the United Nations in New York City. Eric has played at the White House twice by invitation by Presidents Clinton and Obama. Interested in the paranormal from a very young age, Eric decided to finally pursue his dream and created his own grassroots paranormal show he called the Eric Mintel Investigates. He has many stories written by newspapers, magazines about his investigations. Over the years, Eric and his team have obtained groundbreaking footage and captured strange paranormal activity to the likes of which have never been seen before. And we are so happy you're so weird and with us.
Oh yeah, you're my people.
Our brother from another mother.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, Eric, I gave you an introduction, but that's the standard stuff. Tell us about you, what you got going on, where you from, and all the usual stuff.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I mean, I really appreciate you guys having me on. Well, I'm not too far from you guys. I'm actually up here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So just about 60 miles or so northeast of
Philadelphia. A little over an hour.
Yep.
I go there for gigs, face painting gigs a lot.
So oh, there you go. Perfect. Oh my God. So yeah, so we're up here, and of course, Bucks County is no stranger to like all kinds of weird activity and paranormal phenomena.
I love Newtown. I love it.
Yep. Well, Newtown will be the epicenter of our Paracon coming up on March 8th, our second annual paranormal convention, which is going to be at Bucks County Community College on Saturday, March 8th from 12 to 7. And we've got Dave Schrader is going to be speaking. We've got Charles. I mean, great, incredible speakers. Peter Robbins. I know you, Lala.
Oh, we know Peter. We know Peter. Yeah.
Peter and Tom Carey. So, incredible guys. Me and my buddy Dominic will be speaking as well. But it's a lot of fun. We had our first one last year, and I thought, well, maybe we'll have a couple of hundred people there. I didn't know. We had over 1,000 people there, and it was unbelievable. So we're looking forward to it this year. And so we're up here in Bucks County, and as you mentioned, I'm pretty much made a life of being a jazz musician, and have played some pretty prestigious gigs. But at the same time, I always loved the paranormal, as we all do, And of course, living here in this area, I thought, well, there's a lot of stories to be told. People are passing by these places every day. And you know how it is. Nobody knows what's in their own backyard, right? So I decided in 2016, and I was always a filmmaker too. So I liked editing and always did filmmaking. And I started in 2016. It was originally called Bucks County Paranormal Investigations. And then we switched to Eric Mintel Investigates because we were traveling all over the country. So we were trying to go in different areas. But it's been amazing. Some of the stuff that we've investigated and captured. I mean, recently the drone situation that's been going on over here. And I know you guys have been doing a lot of research on that as well.
Yep.
And some of the footage that we're still getting today. But
everybody thinks it's ended if they don't live in our area. So we're seeing stuff all over here.
All the time. But here's the thing. It's nothing new. This has been going on for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And people just think it's happening just since November. This has been going on for a long time. So it's amazing. I mean, it's a really good period to be in right now in the paranormal world. And look, let's face it, the government's saying, hey, folks, the UFOs you're seeing are real. We just don't know what they are. And it's at least giving people that less of a stigma, right, to go ahead and talk about it, talk about their experiences. Because in our research, we've talked to so many people and interviewed so many people that have had these otherworldly encounters. And I'm pretty good at discerning the truth from the BS. And when these people are telling you this story and I'm sure you run into it too. Their voices are cracking. They're getting goosebumps. They're like they're having a hard time getting it out. You know that something profound really happened to them, and this has happened on many, many a case, and that's why we love it, because we're trying to get to that truth, whatever the truth is, But I'll tell you, it's been really, really cool.
We're so happy that we have found another kindred spirit. So that's a good weekend. That's my birthday weekend. Maybe we can go up there for my birthday.
Go. Yeah.
There you go. It's a date night.
Take that weekend off. Don't paint, and we'll go.
Yeah.
Because I mean, come on. I have. So look, since the big Roswell book out with Schmidt and Carey was done, I have wanted to meet him. And tell me what brings him there. How did you get him there?
Tom Carey, he's my next door neighbor practically.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, he lives right. He lives right
down the road. Out west, like Schmidt is.
Now I know Don. I think is in Wisconsin.
He is. Yeah.
But no, Tom lives in Huntington Valley, so he's like right around the corner.
Well, I'll bring my book and let him autograph it.
Oh yeah, and he's going to have books there. He'll have his other books that he's written. He's written like 7 or 8 books. But Tom is doing a talk. Get this: Roswell Deathbed Confessions. It's got
to be great.
It's going to be unbelievable. Yeah,
there's been a lot of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, here's Tom and Don. Tom actually talked to the witnesses that actually handled the wreckage, and saw the bodies. So this is a guy he is one of the really top-notch guys that's doing a lot of the research, and we're thankful for it, because if it wasn't for Tom and Dom and Kevin Randall and all those guys, we wouldn't have known to this extent of how far this goes back.
So Eric, I would know, but let me emphasize it for both our audiences. If you can read Tom and Don's book, read it carefully. Look at how everything is referenced. Look how every name is in the back of the book, in the index. And if you cannot read that book and know that Roswell is real, you don't like written evidence at all.
I'm looking on my bookshelf here, and I know I've got Tom's book all over the place here. But yeah, he's got a whole bunch of books, and oh my God, where the heck is it? So anyway, but yeah, he's got 7 books out there. And
you ought to be able to find her.
Oh, here it is. They're all right here. Witness to Roswell, Area 51. I mean,
I have a 75th. I went ahead and bought the 75th edition just because I love them. There you go.
Children of Roswell. I mean, these are like incredible books. So yeah, these guys did the research, man. I mean, it's incredible. And I recently wrote a book on a lot of our cases. It's called Eric Mintel Investigates Casebook Investigations. From 2016 on, some of our really head scratchers. I mean, some of the things that we've encountered. One of the things I would love to talk about, I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I would love to talk about, when we first started doing these investigations, they were a little bit tongue in cheek, so to speak. We were doing, but they became very serious when Ellen Collins, a good friend of ours and fan, she loves what we do. And she said to me, you guys ought to do a video documentary on the Beast of Bray Road. And I said, well, it would be great. I would love to do that. But how, and I'm out here in Pennsylvania. She's in Wisconsin. Now, the Beast of Bray Road, for your listeners, if you guys are familiar with this, this is like an upright canine dogman like creature.
God, they freak
and it's 6 to 7 foot tall. People have been seeing this thing for years in Wisconsin and crossing Bray Road. And I said, well, Ellen, I would love to do that, but I don't know how we're going to get out there. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to edit it? What are we going to do? Anyway, she paid the whole freight for us to do this. So I made her the executive producer of the video. And we're so thankful for it, because I'll tell you, I went into this investigation thinking, oh, we're not going to see anything. It's going to be like, we're going to talk to some great people. We're going to get some great, footage for this documentary, have some great stories, but never thinking once that we'd actually encounter this thing. Okay. And we did on the night of October 3rd of 2021. We ran into this thing, and it's all on my video. It's called The Beast of Bray Road, Alive and Well, on our YouTube channel.
Wow.
But we went out there, and the way this whole thing came about, this was 2021 to me was like a real paranormal year. I mean, we're just like coming out of COVID a bit, from that whole fiasco, which was crazy. And then we've got 2021, which we were thriving in video during COVID because the idea was, look, people are going to want to go visit these places when things open up again and tell these stories. So we went out to Wisconsin, and I'll tell you, I saw a program. I think it was Paranormal Declassified or something like that, and they were interviewing Lee Hampel. Lee is the farmer that his farm is about 0.2 of a mile from Bray Road. So I saw Lee, and just something told me, yeah, I should reach out to this guy. He seemed like he was really approachable. And that night after the program, I wound up giving Lee a call. He had a phone number online, and he had a website with all this research that he's been doing about this dog man. And we were on the phone for 2 hours talking about the research. He was showing me pictures of prints that he's been getting, eye shine, the actual creature itself on trail cam. Very, very weird stuff. UFOs on the property, just unbelievable. So I said, Lee, we would love to come out there and do an investigation on your property. Would that be okay with you? He's like, absolutely, come on out. So that was December of 2020. And it wasn't until October of 2021 that we finally got everything together and got out there. And I mean, the minute we got out there, it was crazy. We had our jackets on. I had my Eric Mintel at that time it was Bucks County Paranormal Investigation t-shirts on, and with me was Dominic Sittel, who is he's my teammate here in the show, but we've known each other since high school, and he's also the spirit medium on the team. But in high school, I never knew he was a medium, because it was a stigma back then to even say anything about that kind of stuff, right? So he came into the team about 2017 and said, hey, I might be able to help you on your investigations because, I'm a spirit medium. I'm like, what? You never told me that. So he was with me. It was me, Dominic, Ellen, and Ellen's son, Scott, who was working camera and drones at the time. So we're on, and we're wearing our shirts. We're on the plane, and people are like, what are you guys doing? What's going on? So everybody was like, there was a whole buzz created, what was going on. But we got out there, we met Lee, met some really cool people. Lee is incredible. Lee had no interest in the paranormal whatsoever. He was a math teacher in the Wakanda, Illinois school system, didn't care about the paranormal at all. He bought this farm in 2011, I think it was, and he started farming there in 2013. And that's when he had his first sighting of this thing, because his neighbors said, oh yeah, by the way, Lee, that's your property. That's where the creature lives.
Oh my God.
And Lee's like, what? He didn't believe that. But one night he's backing out of his driveway and he looks back to the barn and sees two red glowing eyes staring back at him. Mm-hmm. Then it jumps 15 feet in the air and disappears.
Wow.
So that right away sent him on this path of what is on my property. And the next day, him and his brother Fred went over to check that area out, and they found some crazy footprints. They found prints like canine prints, but they were like a 7-toed, 5-pad track. It was insane. And you could see, I put pictures up on my video. So we met up with Lee. Lee's showing us all of his pictures in the barn and just all the evidence. He's got hair samples, and under the microscope, these hair samples are translucent. It'll blow you away, what he's got. So finally, this was the night of October 3rd. I said, Lee, it was getting dark. And I said, Lee, could we do an investigation out in the field? This is a 35-acre hayfield. So if you could picture this, if your audience can picture this, it's a huge rectangle, okay? And on one side is corn, the other side's corn in front, and then we're on this side over here to the right, which has also got corn, but it's in an area which Lee calls the bait area. So we were basically the bait that night. So this is a 35-acre hayfield. So Lee said, yeah, absolutely. Go down there, just be careful. And he wanted to give me a flare gun, which I should have taken, because what happened next was crazy. So it took us a little while to get down to the bait area because it's half a mile or so to get down there. So we had four-wheelers. We took it down there and got off the four-wheelers. And as soon as we got off those, Dominic looks up. And originally, when we were in the barn, it was raining outside, and we thought, well, we're going to have to scrub this investigation. But as soon as Lee said, "Hey, why don't you go back there? It's okay with me if you go back there and do the investigation." We get out there. It was clear as a bell. It cleared up, and that's when Dominic looked up and said, "What the hell is that?" And here, going over the field, and now this is Elkhorn, Wisconsin. Just a giant orb of light, white orb, just going over the field slowly, about 1,000 feet up, if that. Going over the field, and you could see other planes in around it, and it looked like it was heading toward one of the planes, and then we saw it do a 45-degree angle, and it blinked out. It disappeared.
Wow.
And that's all on video. So that was the one thing, and we're looking at that, trying to figure out what the hell was that. And then the second thing that happened was we were in the field, and all of a sudden we hear a howl way in the distance, and then another howl closer. Now, this is not coyote howls. This is not a coyote. It's not wolves. It's not dogs, not owls, foxes, or anything like that. This third howl, and you guys could hear it on my video, and you can make your own decision. But everybody, you've heard it, right?
No, we're going to listen.
Oh yeah. Do you have it set up?
Well, I don't have it set up.
Oh, okay. If you don't,
tell me the name of your channel.
Oh, you could. Oh, it's Eric Mintel Investigates.
Okay, great. I just don't have it in front of me.
Well, I'll explain it, and then you could do that later. But so we hear this third howl, and everybody that I've talked to that has heard it says it sounds like a man screaming in this field that we were in, and that's what it was. It was this low, guttural scream, growl, yell combination, right? And it was, I have to tell people, I get some comments of people saying, oh, it was a coyote, it was this, it was that. Definitely was not that, because when you're on site, we were there, this thing was like less than 100 yards away from us, and we had little lavalier microphones on, for like to close mic, when you're on video. Mm-hmm. This thing was so loud, that mic caught that howl. And that's why I put it on the video. I didn't even mess with the audio. It's basically just as it is. And it totally freaked us out. You'll have to go down a little ways. It's toward the middle end toward it.
Okay, give me an approximate place.
Yeah, down here, down in this area. If you could, I don't know. Yeah, keep going. It's nighttime. You'll see it. Keep going. Keep her going. Keep going. Right. Yep. Keep going. You could actually play it if you want. You could see the UFO we saw. We no sooner started the investigation when Dominic brought to our attention a bright light in the night sky.
What the hell is that, Eric?
What, that up there? Yeah, really.
Is that a plane?
I don't know.
No, it's not a plane because you would be able to see
it. Would be flashing.
I think we got something, Scott. Check that out. Can you get up there at all? I mean, I hear it. It sounds like it, but...
No, it's moving too fast and it's getting closer.
Can you hear it? Can you see that? I think you got it. The red dot.
Because this over here is a plane.
Well, look at that's flashing over there. See, this is flashing.
That's a plane.
There's no flashing lights.
Flashing
what the hell is that?
Okay, so that's flashing. That's flashing over there. Red.
But this one is not.
This one is not. This is a solid fat.
That's a plane. That's a plane. There's a plane over here. That is just solid lights going away from us.
Well, actually, it was getting brighter.
Holy moly,
now it's gone.
Really gone. Well, look at that. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Nice.
There's something there. Are you hearing this howl?
I am hearing this howl. It's coming from over that way.
Uh-oh.
I had to censor it a little bit. So right there, you could stop it right there.
Did you hear it? That was unbelievable. That's out here.
So right there, you could stop it there because I wanted to tell you something there too. It's go look at it when you're not here. Go back because on site, and it's hard to get the audio. I mean, we didn't have any high tech audio either. We just had like a little.
Our audio was good.
It was crazy. So this thing was so deep and so like, it was like I said, it sounded like a man screaming in the field, and that's what I've gone with all this time, and we're still wrapping our heads around what it could be. Now, I just talked to Lee a couple of months ago, and he's still hearing the screams out there. So something, yeah. I mean, at one point he was afraid to even go on his property. It was crazy. So, and why they call it the Beast of Bray Road is because Bray Road runs, it's literally 0.2 of a mile from Lee's property. And that's where people have been seeing this thing cross over the highway. So we set up a drone on Bray Road and we did some drone footage over there, and we looked up, and then looking at the footage, we saw these huge cutouts going from Lee's property over across the road, crossing Bray Road, going over to the corn again and into the quarry.
Oh my God.
So it was insane.
This topic, it is the only cryptid that really scares the shit out of me, but I love it. I do. It's very interesting. What do you think it might be? People vary in what they think it might be. What do you think that is?
Well, I mean, we're all talking about dogman, werewolf. Who knows? I mean, I really don't know. It could be some kind of hybrid. The other thing I was thinking of too, like a lot of people think, with Bigfoot, it appears and then disappears. It's like, could be one of the ideas of a Bigfoot researcher friend of mine had was, could Bigfoot be a ghost? It's there. It's interdimensional.
That's what
I was thinking that Lee has got so many weird things going on the property there, and there's different ley lines in different areas around the world that these portals, there's high energy areas, right? So could this be an area that is one of those areas that's got a lot of weird high energy, that this thing is able to come into our reality? As weird as that sounds, it could be one thing, or it's some kind of new creature that has not been identified. It could be some kind of hybrid. I don't know. I mean, in the problem here is in the age of AI that we're in, unfortunately, there's so many things being faked, of pictures on trail cam and whatnot. With all the trail cams that Lee has out there, he's never once been able to get a decent picture of this thing. And it's almost like it doesn't want its picture taken, or it knows where those cameras are.
Or it can see infrared.
Right.
Exactly. So the night of that investigation, I got to tell you, after we heard the howls, we had this really weird mist came up from the field that we were in. It was this weird, like, electronic mist. It was messing with the audio, and the camera was fine. That was totally cool. But the weird thing was that night in Elkhorn, the entire town of Elkhorn lost power.
Oh my God.
We had like a trifecta of like crazy activity that night. We had and again, I went into this thinking we wouldn't encounter anything. Like nothing would happen. And most of the time I go into a lot of these investigations, like, on the skeptical side, like what's really going on here. So but that was fascinating. Now, 6 months later, we went back to Elkhorn for a follow-up, and we didn't encounter it that time. This was April of 2022. We didn't encounter it that time, but we had a town hall meeting in Elkhorn at the Elkhorn Memorial Library, and we had over 140 people show up to tell their story of seeing this creature. Wow. And they all came away with the way this thing walks. It had a really weird gait to it. The way it was just shuffling along, or when it was on two legs, it looked like it was gliding, but when it's on all fours, it's really fast. So that was a really running theme with this creature. So, and then speaking of Tom Carey, so Tom also, he got bitten by the dogman bug, and out where Tom is, he's been researching the Bryn Athyn beast. Now that's an area here in Pennsylvania, Brynathan, and there's a dogman creature there, apparently, that people have been seeing for years. I never knew about it. Tom found out about it, and he found witnesses that had seen the thing. So we did a video on that too called The Beast of Brynathan. And at first, Brynathan, that area was a little up in arms about, having us do the video, because that's a really like a very prim and proper area there, and, God forbid there's a dog man running around.
Right, yeah.
But people said they saw this thing and it really changed their lives. So we did an investigation, didn't see anything, didn't really encounter anything, but we did have some really weird energy levels in this one area that people did see this creature. So I don't know. I have an open mind to everything. And I always say at the end of the day, people are seeing something, right? They're encountering something. Could they be connected to it somehow? Could there be, maybe it's in family lines, how it is, like family members have had this activity over the years and they transfer it down to their children. So I don't know. That's the fascinating part of what we do. And that's why I love it.
Are you in Lenape area?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Native Americans, they had all sorts of associations with things like this. And Lenape, that was kind of the center of their area around you. So who knows?
Totally. And Dominic found out he had what they call the veil at a very young age. His grandmother honed his skills with him. Dominic would be when he was a kid, on a regular basis, he'd be talking to this guy that would be walking on his property, and he thought he was walking dogs on the property, but here it turns out it was an Indian walking deer, like deer with the Indian, and talking to like we're talking together. And Dominic's father came in and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm talking to the guy that's out there," and there was nobody there. So it's really, really interesting. And when we have him on these investigations, whether it's a ghost or whatever, mostly in hauntings and things like that, I always keep everything paranormal to myself. I'll keep all the paranormal phenomena, any of the history, to myself until he gets to that area. And then if he goes into those areas and he's starting to go like into those hot spots, that's when I'll start saying, okay, well, you're about, 98% right on the money with what's going on here. And what usually happens then is there is a story that starts unfolding that no one ever knew about. And then it all makes sense because then all the little puzzle pieces go together. So it's been really, really interesting. And our other medium that we have on the team, Julie Krause, she's another one that's incredible. We just did an investigation of a haunted vampire museum in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. It's called the Vampa Museum. If you guys ever get up here, you got to check that place out too. It's really cool. But yeah, we went in there, and I never really deal with the dark energies or anything like that. But in this place, it was off the charts. So much so Dominic won't go back in because he had some kind of a thing try to grab him, it was, and he was freaked out. And I never see him freak out because we're pretty middle of the road, this kind of stuff. We're not like the TV shows are like, oh my God, did you, that kind of stuff. But although that does happen, I'm not going to say it doesn't, but yeah, it's just amazing. And what I love about it too, is a lot of these venues that we're investigating, people pass by every day and they have no clue what's in their own backyard. So it's been a lot of fun. And we've got like 3 productions we're doing right now. One for Miller Symphony Hall up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And then we're doing another local area here, which is another haunting. And we just did a haunted library not too long ago. So with more Indian artifacts.
So my big Pennsylvania haunted deal was I was in scouting, took scouters out to Gettysburg, and we did a little night thing, and then to just walk around, look in the field, and you could hear the cannons going and see glowing soldiers walking. Those kids were ready to go home.
Wow. That's crazy. It's amazing. I mean, I just talked to a buddy of mine today who sent me some video footage of a drone. I don't know if it was a drone or what, but it was a light that just went up to this power line and like was like looking at it, went up, looked at it, and then dipped down, and it was just insane. And then, talking about jazz, in my jazz career, we're always driving home late, on late nights. And many a time I've seen some really weird stuff. And I had my own UFO sighting in 2016. And you could say like a lot of the orange orbs people are seeing, that's what I saw, but these were not drones at all. My girlfriend and I were going over this bridge outside of New Hope, New Hope, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So we're going outside of New Hope. We're going over this bridge it's called the Center Bridge. Center Bridge is the area. We're going over the bridge into Stockton, New Jersey, and we have to cross the Delaware. So as we're crossing the bridge, out of the corner of my eye, I see 5 orange orbs just showed up out of nowhere. And I was like, and at first in my rational mind, I'm like, well, there's a restaurant down there. Could there be a wedding going on? Maybe they're sending off like, Chinese lanterns, right? Yeah. So, but no, it was like during the week, it was February, it was cold, nobody was getting married. So I took my phone out, of course, trying to get a picture of it, and the flash went off in the car, but I got another shot, and I was able to get one shot, and it was amazing. But one by one, these things just disappeared. I mean, they just disappeared.
That happened to me, and there were 5 orange orbs, and one at a time they appeared.
Yep.
They went to like a weird V shape, and then one at a time they disappeared. Dude, okay.
And what happened after that?
I had missing time. Did you?
Missing time for hours.
Wow, I didn't have missing time. At least I don't think so. But I do know the next week I was on a gig, and she told me that she was at the farm. She had this great farmhouse at the time, and it was on like 65 acres that she was renting. And it was a really beautiful place. But in front of the house was probably about 800, 900 feet before you get to the road. Mm-hmm. And there was a big wheat field type thing in the front of the house. She said that, remember Mitch Miller, Follow the Bouncing Ball, when you were,
mm-hmm.
So when these are old, I know Lala, you're younger than, yeah, but these are like little sing-along things where people would follow the ball to the words, right? Well, she said that this ball of light came down into this cornfield or into the wheat field and was bouncing like that, and then shot straight up. So I don't know what was going on, but that was a very, very strange thing to witness. I felt blessed to be able to witness that, because it was amazing. I mean, these things, when they appeared, it looked like swirling lava. I don't know if anyone's ever had that before. I don't know if that's what yours were like, but this was like swirling lava. And these were definitely not flares or anything like that. This was something, because there were no way they would drop those over a populated area like that.
Right.
And it's like a river town, but it was just so weird, man. And then, but we never saw anything like that again, but it was just amazing.
That's so cool. You're the first person to describe it that way. And it's validating. It really is, because having these experiences, I'm sure you've learned by speaking to other people, it kind of can be lonely having these experiences, because you don't know if you should talk about it, things like that.
Well, I would say to the listeners out there, if you have had encounters and things like that, talk about it. That's the main thing. Don't keep it to yourself. I think we're in a time right now, and it's also your group that you hang out with too. If you're around like-minded people, go for it. If you're with closed-minded people that don't want to hear anything about that kind of stuff, it's probably best to not even hang out with them. Thankfully, though, we are in a time frame where, the government is, like I said, is saying, hey, folks, we don't know what these are, but at least we're starting that conversation. So I think that part of that stigma has really gone away, because, I mean, I don't care who you are. You've got everybody has had some kind of paranormal experience that they can't explain.
I agree.
So it's really, really cool. I mean, we're in a really good time that way. And we tell the stories, and we're all about truth-based investigating. We're not doing anything like, especially with the ghosts, when we're investigating ghosts or a haunting or anything like that. We're not, and I'm not saying anything against it, but we don't use spirit boxes. We don't use REM pods, anything like that. And the only reason why we don't use those is because REM pods, your camera equipment will set it off, so you really want to have less is more in there. And the more people you have on an investigation is really bad, because you have to have less. That's why we had 4 people on our team. We didn't have a huge TV crew or anything like that when we did this Elkhorn investigation. And I really believe that we had more activity that way. I mean, we got more stuff than Josh Gates did when he went out and investigated. I mean, it's crazy. And I'm not saying that we're the best thing, but we were out in the field doing this. The other thing is too, I didn't realize this. I had listened to those howls on headphones only a few months ago. I don't know why I didn't listen to those on headphones like right then and there. But just a couple months ago, I listened to those on headphones, and on that second howl, there was a growl that happened behind us.
Oh, yeah.
There was something behind us that I didn't realize that was there. And Dominic and I joke about it too. Like when Elkhorn lost power that night, I looked in the morning, I had a stick that I must have brought back on my boot from the field. Mm-hmm. And I showed Dominic, I said, look, I brought this back from the field. He's like, you brought it back with you, didn't you? The other thing is the trail cams that night. Here's another really crazy thing. With all those trail cams that Lee has out there, right? None of them worked that night. Like something shut it off at 5 o'clock. And they're not on timers or anything. They off at 5 o'clock, and they didn't start working again until 7 o'clock the next morning.
Wow.
And I mean, you guys look at the video when you see it. I put steak bones that we had the night before in that bait area to try to bait that, try to draw this thing in. Mm-hmm. And all day, like we did that during the previous, the day before we did the nighttime investigation. And all day I'm thinking to myself, man, was that a good or a bad idea? But they were gone. They were gone that next morning, but anything could have taken them. So yeah, that investigation really ranks up there with number one as far as like what we encountered, and just we could not believe what happened that night. And then with some of these other ones too. I mean, we've done an investigation at a place called New Spirit Old Soul, and that's in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and it's an architectural salvage company. But they have a beautiful 1749 farmhouse on the property. And Beth, the owner, said, I would love you guys to do an investigation on here on the property. I'm always feeling this weird energy in this one room upstairs in the bedroom. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I would love to do that. So Dominic and I went over there and we did this investigation. And Dominic was like, it was ping pong. He was getting hit left and right with all this different activity that was going on there. But what happened was, and this is crazy, and this never happens on camera, which it was amazing. Beth, it was me, Beth, Dominic, and our camera guy, Tom. We were upstairs in the bedroom, and it was like we got through the threshold, and Beth is feeling this energy. I have the magnetometer. We're using a magnetometer usually to detect any electromagnetic energy. We're using Dominic for his spirit mediumship, and maybe an EVP. That's all we use, if that. But I just had the magnetometer, and I went right by this little hutch that had flowers on it. And as soon as I went by it, I didn't touch it, but it moved. The flowers moved, and I made sure that the floor wasn't bouncy or anything like that. It was solid. Mm-hmm. And I said to the guys, I said, hey guys, I don't want to alarm anybody, but I think I just saw these plants move. Well, with that, Beth's also a designer. She looks at the flowers. She goes, I did not put those there. Those were not there. I know where everything is in this house. And she was getting more and more and more agitated until the point where all of a sudden she got so hyperventilated, she couldn't even speak. And what happened? The spirit, it was like she got bum rushed by the spirit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you could see this on our video too, because I'm a respectable guy. I said to Beth, Beth, do you really want this on video? What happened to you? I mean, she was literally like just had a complete meltdown. And I said, do you really want this on video? She's like, yes, if that's the way it happened, we've got to put it out there like that. And I was so happy that she said that, because it was something that was really, really incredible. And she had to go out of the room, get herself together. I mean, it took a while for her, probably like a half an hour, to get her calmed down, but it was really crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, and that was all caught on video. And then Dominic and I both smelled, like, as soon as everybody left, there was a weird like perfume smell in the room. And I'm sure on some of your investigations, there's different smells. There's, and a lot of investigators, experience that. But we had this, and Dominic thought, yeah, this is something was just here, and there's even here in this house, we've had like, cigarette smell where nobody smokes here. And we're like, wow, where the hell is that coming from? And we're out in the middle of a field, so we don't really have anybody near us, But yeah, so, like I always say too, you can't write this stuff, right? When you're on these investigations and stuff is just happening around you, it's insane.
I have a question. With you doing all this, do you ever bring anything home with you? What are they called? Hitchhikers?
Hitchhiker.
Do you ever have that happen?
No, they're not allowed. No, you know what? And everybody's asked that. The only reason I say that, no, because I try to, everybody's got their own belief system about everything, and it's about perceptions, and it's all about what you're allowing into your mind, and you've got to have that strong fortitude of like, I'm not allowing this. I'm not, and this goes across the board with just life in general. If you allow negativity into your life, you're going to get negativity. If you want positive in your life, you're going to get positive. So I choose positive. I choose strong. And and the only time that we ever did sage anything was when we got out of that vampire museum, because there was some really weird energy there. And Julie saged us that night. But yeah, no, I don't worry about that. But but it's always a possibility. But no, I don't worry about that kind of stuff. But my I'm not a very religious person, but I have strong faith, if that makes sense.
The same, yeah.
Yeah, if she has very vivid lucid dreams and they aren't too friendly, she sages everything.
Oh wow, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, you have to protect yourself, because when you're in those situations, and the reason why Dominic had this, and this is another series, we did the series at this vampire museum. It's called Paranormal Pickers, Part 1 and Part 2. And it's basically, a take on American Pickers, but it's all about these haunted objects. Could objects be haunted? Could there be residual energies? Because people are on the fence with that kind of stuff. They're like, sometimes like, nah, I don't think so. Others are like, oh, hell yeah, there is stuff there. And Dominic himself will never, ever go into antiques stores because he's like, because he's hit all the time with that stuff. But I had managed to drag him into this museum, and both him and Julie Krause were on this investigation. So we immediately this property. I mean, this museum is incredible. It's got some incredible artifacts. He has Edmondo Crimi is the owner. He's been doing antiques for like 40 years, but he's got over 700 vampire killing sets, which go way back to like the 1700s. And I'm thinking to myself, why so many back then? What was going on back then? Mm-hmm. I always say there's a little bit of truth to the folklore, right?
Yep.
So we were in the museum, but Julie and Dominic were both being pulled to the barn, this big barn that he's got, where he's got a lot of other antiques. So we got pulled to the barn, and we went out and we started the investigation there. We went upstairs in the barn. They were getting pulled to the back of the barn. And earlier in that day, I was doing some B-roll footage of video, and something fell back there in this one area that I didn't tell them about, but they kept getting pulled back there. Anyway, we get back there and we're listening, we're talking, and Julie goes, well, I feel like something could fall any second. And I go, well, something fell earlier today back here. And Ed said, yeah, a chandelier fell on me a couple of days ago and it hit me in the head and I got a mark right here. And he's like, and Julie said, oh, I'm glad you're okay. With that, we all hear this weird, and it sounded like this. It said, just like that. It sounded like a kazoo, like like that. And I was like, what the hell is that? And we all heard it, and you could hear it on video. Dominic then pipes up and says, that is the same sound I heard in the museum across the way. When I was interviewing Julie, Ed and Dominic were in this doll room. And the doll, it's always a doll, right? Always a doll.
Oh.
So this doll room, guys, by the way, is absolutely creepy. But anyway, he said, I heard this doll. I heard this weird sound. It's the same sound that we heard from the doll room. I said, well, let's go back over there. Let's do a little recap of what you heard and get it on video. But we didn't get to it that night because we were exhausted. So we went back about a week later and did another footage. So we went back to the doll room. Dominic's back is to the doll room. Now in this doll room, there's like this huge clown face. It's like a real evil clown face. There's a Burmese doll, right? From Burma, beautiful doll. It's like 5.5 feet tall. It has real hair, Asian inspired face, beautiful smile. But it's just got a stare. It's just staring straight ahead. But it's a beautiful doll. Anyway, Dominic's standing there and there's other kind of marionettes and stuff in there too. So he's standing there saying, I was standing here, and when Eric was interviewing Julie, Ed and I were in here, and I thought, he goes, I thought it was the batteries from these dolls of the voice boxes with the batteries dying. Well, got news for you. These dolls are older than that. There's no batteries. There's no electronics to these things. As he says that, we all hear art, the same thing. It was, and Dominic, a few expletives later, he's like, what the, and he's like, wonder what. So it was crazy. And in that instance, it was mass chaos. I think I was the only calm one there. But Dominic was freaking out. Ed was freaking out. But it was the same sound. It was the weirdest thing. And it was almost on cue. It was like, as he said, it was the batteries dying. You hear art. And it was the weirdest thing. So about a month or two later, I was doing a book signing after I wrote my book, and I was doing some book signings there. And a mother and daughter were in the museum, and they were videoing at that doll room, and they were talking to the doll. And all of a sudden you hear on the video the same thing, but it did it twice. It went like that, like it was laughing.
Oh my God.
So there's something very, very strange there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot wants to know, have you ever done any kind of looking into the Rendlesham Forest incident?
Rendlesham Forest?
Yeah, 1980 Rendlesham Forest.
Love that. Well, I got to tell you, if you guys, again, my Bucks County Paranormal Convention is coming up on March 8th up here in Newtown, Pennsylvania at Bucks County Community College. Guess who we're going to have? We're having Charles Halt, Colonel Charles Halt.
Oh, man.
From Rendlesham, the guy that was there.
Fantastic.
He was giving the play-by-play of what these guys were experiencing.
He recorded the whole incident on a recorder.
Oh my God.
He's going to be there. It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh,
so
yeah. We got to go.
So the Rendlesham Forest definitely happened. That was definitely, and I believe Charles Halt and some of the other guys that are there. There's a couple other guys there that the story got embellished as the years went along.
Yes.
But what those guys experienced that night with this thing, pointing laser beams down into the weapons storage area that had nuclear weapons, by the way, that stuff happened. So I would wager to say, if anybody can make their way to Bucks County, Pennsylvania on March 8th, he's going to do an incredible talk. You guys it's going to be unbelievable.
Don't ask Peter Robbins about embellished Rendlesham stories. He might get a little upset and cry.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, he was duped on that whole thing. Peter.
Was totally duped.
Yeah. And poor Peter, we talked about that. And, and Charles and Peter were not talking for a while, but they kind of buried the hatchet now. But it's just that story has been, like all these guys, Travis Walton, Charles Halt, Calvin Parker, he just passed away, Pascagoula UFO. All these guys, Whitley Strieber, they've stuck by their story. Their story has not changed in 40 plus years, So it's amazing. And we're so grateful to have Charles. Unfortunately, he just lost his wife recently. So he's making the trip, but yeah, he's a great guy, and looking forward to seeing him.
Well, he's a hero, and can you even imagine having to go down to a nuclear weapon silo every day to go to work?
Yeah, I mean, crazy.
Or having all these huts full of nuclear weapons, which is what they had to render some base.
Yeah, oh, totally. And then have this thing happen, right? And then write this report, and it goes nowhere. Right. So it's just, it's insane. So I'm so glad he'll set the record straight for sure.
That'll be good. Yeah. So my big intro to break over into the new world was I went and spent 4.5 days with Chris Bledsoe.
Oh, cool.
And that's all it took. Follow me home, see him all the time. You get the idea. But the other thing it did was brought back missing time of missing memories of all the weird stuff that happened to me in my childhood. And I went back and confirmed it with people around me, my family, my mother. They confirmed the stories that I had forgotten. My biggest one was 18, leave university, driving home, 2.5-hour drive. And I wake up in the middle of nowhere at a stop sign, no idea where I am after 90 minutes of missing time. 90 minutes.
Wow. Did you ever go under hypnosis?
I have not that kind, but I'd like to, because immediately after that, I was at University A in pre-medicine. I went, nope, changed universities, changed into math, engineering, and physics.
Wow. Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Were you imprinted by something possibly?
Oh, I was taught to read when I was 3 by something.
Wow.
And so my mother told that story all the time, and I didn't even remember her telling the story, and she told that story.
I just found a group online. I don't know if any of your listeners have had experiences with this. It's called the Red Grid Group. People have been waking up with these red, like it looks like almost like a net, like a rash, kind of net rash, with it's like in perfectly symmetrical, situations. This is another weird phenomena going on that could possibly be some kind of abduction experience, So,
yep.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
So she's kind of a little bit shy, but let me say it. She's had more abductions and more missing time incidents than anyone I've ever heard of.
Wow.
Special.
And I'm friends with Melinda Leslie and Lorian Fenton, and it's just like, yeah.
Now, Lala, have you gone under hypnosis too? And
no, I want to do that. I'm not sure.
We're trying to find the right regression hypnotist because we have a specific request, and that is after you do your thing, put a post-hypnotic session so we can continue. And a lot of them don't want to do that.
So to kind of block the memory from
not only that, so that we could say, hey, pick up where you left off. Bingo. Okay, pick up where you left off.
Wow. That's cool. It's not, I'm saying it's cool, but it's gotta be exhausting for you too.
Yeah. I would get really tired, not know why. I'd wake up with strange shaped bruises on me and not know why. I'd be fearful of sleeping in the dark.
She has a scoop mark right here, and I detected a radio emitting thing right here with my equipment.
Like I'm terrified to sleep in the dark, even now.
She won't. Even when we were together, she won't sleep in the dark.
I have an implant I found 20-some years ago in my left leg just by going to the airport, and back then you could see what was in,
When they first started doing the fancy scanners, they would show her the P thing.
Rice it looked like.
Wow.
And I don't know how it got there. It's still there. We flew a year ago?
And it triggered, and they wander, and the wand showed beep 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 right over her left leg.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this is something definitely you should look into. I know it's kind of scary, but still, like, kind of look into it. Do you know Sev? Do you know Sev Talk?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's another experiencer abductee too. Michael Carter is another one too. You guys should.
Yep, I know him, but
He's been on the show,
he came in
yeah.
on the show. He
Okay.
he was an interesting guy. But Sev Tosh, she's so interesting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm going to UFO Con and that's Lori and Fenton's show, and Melinda's going to be there, and I get to hang out with the Skywatcher folks. It's going to be fun.
All the cool people.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. That's great. You guys are cool too. This is great. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we
We're gonna
love
have you
it.
on again.
So do us a favor and tell everybody what you got going on immediately, how to reach you, where to look, all those things.
Absolutely. So if anybody wants to look at, well, first of all, I wrote a book, so you can go on Amazon right now and pick up my new book. It's called Eric Mintel Investigates Casebook Investigations. It's an easy read. You guys will love the stories. I mean, I had an incredible encounter with a lady in white, which I don't know if you've heard of that lady in white, but I'll tell that story before we leave. But and then on March 8th, we have the Bucks County Paracon happening up here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Saturday, March 8th at Bucks County Community College in Newtown, Pennsylvania. And that's going to be from 12 to 7. We've got Dave Schrader is going to be speaking, Charles Halt, Peter Robbins, Tom Carey. We actually have Stan Gordon as well as going to be speaking.
Oh, Stan's one of my heroes.
And we have a special guest coming in too, Bill Burns from UFO Hunters.
Oh, that's great.
And then also Eric Altman too, from the PA Bigfoot area. And then Jim Krug as well from the Altoona, Pennsylvania, talking about aliens on the moon and some of the
neat.
Yeah, so it's going to be it's going to be a great day. We've got a lot of vendors, we've got food trucks, and better yet, free parking. So,
I like it.
The face painter.
And there you go. Come on out.
Or she can do readings.
We need alien face painting. That would be awesome. And we're thinking about doing a contest too for last year was amazing because people came dressed as aliens, they came as men in black, they came as Bigfoot. So we're going to do a little contest this year. The best costume will win a book and they'll win a poster. So a signed poster by all the speakers. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's nice.
That's great. Eric, thank you so much. We have to come back on. We are going to see you next month.
Absolutely, man. Can't wait. Right. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. Take care.
Bye-bye.